Well, hello, that's me again. It is the 8th of September and I'm really pissed off. And the reason I'm pissed off is not because something bad happens in my personal life, but because after 2 days preparing a solid, I would say, video on the issue of the political ideologies and how they really influence, for example, military economic development of the nations. Instead of that, after thinking this over, looks like we got a new, so to speak, fire to put it out. And this fire obviously is primarily, again, now Ukrainian armed forces offensive towards Balakleia, and as you might expect, bunch of the Western media and Ukrainian media spread complete propaganda about this. And now they say that Balakleia has fallen, which she didn't. But obviously there was some foray of the lightly armed forces of the special operation forces of Ukraine into the outskirts of the city. Then I think so they made the photos of two different photos of the Ukrainian flag flying over some building. And that was supposedly, including through all those Telegram channels, which I never read and never use, proclaiming that, oh my gosh, there's, like Balakleia has fallen. Even if it has fallen, what's the big deal really? The reason I'm saying it, and also I want to reiterate again, not only I don't use Telegram channels, 99.9% of which are basically run by amateurs and bullshitters who try to basically monetize whatever they have by reporting all kinds of the tactical minutiae, about like some guy from the Frontline called, oh my god, we're having difficult fight and things of this nature, and they pretty much begin to create the operational picture based on the random and in 90% of the cases unconfirmed tactical facts, and as a result we have this absolute caricature of the situation. No, there is a armed forces of Ukraine offensive, so to speak. But the other thing which also just absolutely stunned me today, and again, even among the officialdom, so to speak, or people who, or Russian military reporters who report from the front lines, even among them, I have very few people I really trust, especially in, making any kind of generalization. And Alexander Kots of the Komsomolskaya Pravda, kp.ru, he reports today that, yeah, situation is not catastrophic, but it's heavy and blah blah and this whole thing, and he begins to wax operational strategic, saying that, yeah, the terrain is difficult in Balakleia and that this offensive has very little in common to what was happening in the last 7 days in and around Kherson, which of course that famous counteroffensive absolutely fizzled out. And it was basically, all steam went in primarily into the whistle. But truth is, he is absolutely incorrect. While terrain is definitely different around Balakleia and the tactical nuances are very different from the open field Kherson, the truth is, it's pretty much same pattern. And I want to repeat again, and that is why even among officialdom or people who have the access to the official access or accreditation to report on something from the front line, I don't trust most of them anyway, because today it's the 8th, and as anything which is done in Ukraine and in the Western world, which is firmly behind Ukraine on this issue, because we'll talk about this later, it's the fact that today is the Rammstein meeting, and it was all of it, including this Kherson counter-offensive, was nothing more than basically attempts by Ukraine and Kiev regime to show something for whatever their format. Lord Austin is there, evidently Biden, I don't know if he spoke already spoke or will be speaking today to this format conference, so to speak, about the aid to Ukraine. And already the new package of the aid to Ukraine is known, and actually, and frankly, guys, they say they supplied their harm missiles. Well, sure, why not? Let them try to install them on the whatever the combat aircraft will be converted to it, and they supply another HIMARS. They said they want to actually supply with Excalibur, GPS guided shells. Well, good luck using them, because Russians will jam GPS. So, but hey, what do I know? I'm a small guy, and the fact is that the numbers which are going through right now about this counteroffensive, there's no counteroffensive anymore in and around Kherson, because, as I already stated, it fizzled out. Russians came back to where the initial positions were, and some numbers which we get in terms of the wounded are just absolutely appalling. And actually, there are now the talk, I think so, it will be confirmed, that we're looking at around 10,000 KIAs, killed in action there. So basically, you have a catastrophe for the armed forces in Ukraine. In Kherson, now they try to do pretty much the same thing. It's primarily to show some photos, some video evidence, so to speak, that they are still a real army. But again, evidently the first echelon of this offensive have been already demolished. The second echelon, and which are reserves, they're already throwing the reserves in. So there are rumors, and again, don't ask me where I get them, but there are rumors, and I think so they are not without justification, that actually in terms of the KIAs and wounded, the Ukrainian losses will surpass everything what is happening in Kherson, where this morning they tried again to do something by means of 1 battalion. So that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about what kind of the action is happening there. So we'll see. In any case, what I would suggest for you, go to Mr. Saker's, my friend Andrei Raevsky blog, and he wrote a superb essay on the defense of Russians, on the special military operations. Just go and read this wonderful piece, because it's outstanding, actually, in terms of basically reducing everything to a very simple forms for lay people to understand what is going on and how actually real defense works in the modern war. But that's a separate issue. And let me get to the, headlines now, because obviously I don't have time, nor actually, frankly, a desire to speak more about the political philosophies, but we will start with this. And just for you to understand what we're dealing with, if you will tell me that this is not a basically indication of a complete desperation on the Ukrainian side, then what can I say? Evidently, Ukraine thinks that it should be in charge of the US and NATO nuclear arsenal, and that eventually, if things go bad, which they are going bad for them, they will use it, and that's how he says. And of course, Washington Post publishes this crap, but that's what they do. They are crappy newspaper, and they publish crap. So, and there you go. So we are looking at the possible, nuclear war because of the Ukraine. If you think so that it's only Ukraine who are completely mad, no, as I already stated, and you probably are well aware of the fact, is that the Eastern Europe, with the exception of Hungary, is completely mind-fucked in terms of this aggression and hostility towards Russia. And we can see yourself, risk of war with Russia is serious, NATO country says. First, I have to really express my absolute disgust with RT for doing this clickbait, because they could have simply put in the headline, instead of clicking on this crap, that NATO country is Poland. It's like, you know what? Yeah, just say that Poland says that the risk of war with Russia is serious, and guess what? Yeah, Poles, at least their political elites, they really want to fight Russians. They want to kill Russians. They have this absolutely obsession with Russians. And obviously we can see ourselves that they say that Poland might find itself at war with Moscow in 3 to 10 years. The Deputy Defense Minister of War. The deputy defense minister is his name Marcin Osepa, or Ochepa, I don't know how to pronounce it properly, and he told it to one of the Polish newspapers that there is a serious risk of war with Russia, and it all depends on how the conflict in Ukraine ends. And so this guy, who is deputy defense minister, let's see who this guy is. Well, here we are. Here's Mr. Osepa, or Ochepa, I don't know. And he is, as you can see yourself, and you already have guessed it, he's a political scientist specializing in European studies, MBA diploma, so master in business administration, as well as the top public executive of the National School of Public Administration and whatever, IESE, of the University of Navarra, academic teacher at the University of Apulia. So yeah, as you can see yourself, the guy is absolutely qualified to make a strategic assessment about war of Poland with Russia. And he seriously thinks that, yeah, NATO need to, just basically prepare Poland, for the fight with Russia, together with, of course, those Baltic states, which are, I don't know, what, can they provide like 500 people to fight the war and one tank maybe? But many in Polish elites, they do believe that they can fight Russia. Well, but point is that it's not just it. The insanity continues, as you can see yourself. We also have this wonderful headline. This is from BBC. And guess what they're writing? Well, BBC, which is British bullshit corporation, is basically writing this. And they quote, obviously, US officials saying that Ukraine was making slow but meaningful progress against Russian forces. As I already stated many times now, I not only stating it, I'm actually insisting that basically we have to talk about utter military incompetence, not only on the level of the political elites in the combined West, which is natural. They do not know what war is, warfare, what operational planning is, but we have to start talking about the fact that military leaders, I mean those generals and officers, in the combined West, they really don't understand what is going on because they simply lack appropriate education, which they do. They lack appropriate operational experience, they lack understanding of Russia, and so in other ways, to put it politely, they're simply incompetent. And again, I don't need to go, again and elaborating on how beautifully they won in Afghanistan. And this is just one of many cases when they really cannot basically fight their way out of the wet paper bag. But hey, they are professionals, so yeah, let them kind of, provide their assessments and expertise, quote unquote, which is laughable. But it is what it is. And when we go about it, it's, you look at this and we begin to look at it, it's just absolute mad house. Look at this. Today, RIA News, RIA Novosti, and of course, it's not just RIA Novosti which basically reports it, it's Anthony Blinken. And unlike Western media, Russians usually do go with the full quotes and the context. Another way, they do report actual news, and they do not cut out what is not comfortable or convenient for them. But look what the headline says, because it's a quote. As Mr. Blinken, and we know he is great strategist, he is prognosticator of prognosticators, and he is absolutely amazing guy, So he says that United States closed for Russia the access to the import of the weapons. That's what Blinken states. That's what headline says. You can go look up Yahoo or Google it, and yeah, that's what he said. That, United States diplomacy, I don't know it existed, but still, and generally United States closed Russian access to import of weapons. There was, of course, a Homeric laughter coming from all kinds of corners of Russian real military expert community. And you know what? In this particular case, I might get enough arrogance and hubris to say that, well, I'm one of them. And obviously, together, like with this Iranian drones BS, which have been, debunked and refused, rejected by Kremlin and even Tehran so many times. Now we have this, that Russia is out of ammo and buys ammo from North Korea. The imbecility of this and the fact that this is, come on guys, this is Secretary of the State of the United States spews this bullshit, so it tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the state of the American expertise in warfare and modern politics. Obviously, they don't understand what Russian military-industrial complex is. I do. I'm from the family which basically have been connected to the Soviet military-industrial complex and Navy and armed forces, and to explain it to some dude from U.S. State Department, it's like wasting. It's exercising futility basically, because they don't understand. They have no grasp of this. But evidently, I'm beginning to look at it, judging by the fact that this bullshit is spewed by all kinds of the American officers, high officers, generals. That's combination of the ignorance, incompetence, and being sore losers, which most of them are anyway. So, and you look at this, why would Russia buy ammo from North Korea when Russia has an immense military industrial capacity which produces everything Russia needs in terms of ranging from bullets, ending with the combat aircraft, space systems, and what have you. But can you imagine explaining this to those people? They don't have any education, they don't have background to grasp it. And again, as I stated, I just can only quote General Latif of DARPA from his book, that most what the American political class, and now I begin to suspect that what most, not all, but most of what American military class know about Russia and about warfare is from the Hollywood. It's from the entertainment. And when you have people who make decisions based on this crap, well, you get what you get. Exactly, you get Afghanistan, and now you get, obviously, Ukraine, and absolute butt hurt, which you can sense pretty much 10 miles away. And even this is not the end of this, of course. So now suddenly, guess what? That Mr. Lindsey Graham and some other of his allies, so to speak, from Democratic Party wanted obviously to declare Russia and add Russia to the list of the sponsor of terrorism. Well, give to Biden's credit, he said absolutely not. Obviously, they justified that they're not going to add Russia to the list of the sponsor of terrorism by means of explaining that it's not good enough, it's not going to advance American, interests and aims in geopolitics, and basically the blah, blah, blah explanation. But reality, of course, is a little bit more complex than that. It is one thing to put Iran onto the list of the sponsors of terrorism, totally another one to put Russia on this list. And I will explain you, just give you one reason for that. Because after that, Russia will do the same to the United States. And guess what? Automatically, that will mean that many people in CIA, Pentagon, and State Department will be declared people who are sponsors of terrorism. And let me tell you, you cannot play this type of the game with Russians. And so that's the main reason. There are many other reasons why this is not, Russia is not added to the list of the sponsors of terrorism. And you have to understand, and Lindsey Graham, we know who he is. The guy is a whole, political prostitute, and actually himself a sponsor of terrorism, especially ISIS. Can you imagine Lindsey Graham being declared the sponsor of terrorism and being basically called and arrested as such? Well, there you go. That's the explanation. Apart from the fact that, and of course, then you will have to break up the break diplomatic relations with Russia, and doing this with the only country in the world which can wipe the United States off the map in 25 minutes is certainly not a good idea, even for such bunch of the mad idiots, especially from the neocon, cabal in the American political elite, and. For now, at least Biden says that, hey, yeah, we're not doing this. Of course. But that's not it. The other thing which is, of course, most important is the fact that Mr. Putin, and Mr. Putin is a Western god. He is the guy who is responsible for everything bad what is happening in the West. So I think so he's not a god. I mean, I think so he's devil. But still, he is like, this omnipotent figure. And speaking on the Far Eastern Economic Forum yesterday, he was very specific, and he absolutely correctly stated that the West is basically doing what it does, always. He lies. And here's the phrase which should be taken in serious consideration, because that's what I am saying all the time. And I was saying this for many years now. The Russian president accused Western leaders of hurting their own people through incompetence. You know what? I know I probably getting some people nauseous by constantly repeating that Western elites are incompetent. Not only they are detached and from their real life, but they are incompetent. They are incompetent to such a degree that at this stage, I don't know. That's basically madness. This is not anymore just a cultural or political or academic even aspect. It's psychiatric. And when you look at this letter by the Organization of the Metals, Eurometox, Metox. This is the union, basically, of the people, metal producing people for Europe. Obviously, they sent this letter to Mr. President von der Leyen, and this stupid guy from, Brussels, from Belgium, Michel, whatever the name of this guy is. So look what they write. Obviously, we know that Europe is committing economic suicide, and it's actually getting worse and worse with every day. But here it is. Now, basically, 50% of the EU's aluminum and zinc capacity has already been forced offline due to the power crisis, as well as the significant curtailment in silicon and ferroalloys production, and further impact felt across copper and nickel sector. In the last month, several companies have had to announce indefinite closures, and many more are on the brink ahead of the life or death winter for many operations. Producers face electricity and gas costs over 10 times higher than last year. 10 times, mind you. And they are far exceeding the sales price for their products. We know from experiences that once a plant is closed, it very often becomes a permanent situation, as reopening implies significant uncertainty and cost. And look at this. Obviously, like in the Soviet times, where you have to praise Communist Party for everything, they praise here the clean energy thing, which they have to. They are forced to do basically toward the party line and spread and spew BS. But here it is. Europe's clean energy goals require a competitive and growing metal sector to ensure a secure supply of extra raw materials needed to shift away from fossil fuels. And this is what I have to say. If you look at people who run European economy, those people are primarily political scientists, lawyers, and they think that iPhones grow on trees. And that basically they don't understand what metals and non-ferrous metals are and how crucial they are. But hey, try to explain it to them. They're not going to get it because they're stupid, and they are incompetent. And that is why explaining to them what non-ferrous metals are, what real metals are, how it is all the foundation of the healthy economy and very good standard of living, they will not get it. I mean, and people who say that, oh, maybe they are, corrupted by the United States and, things of this nature. Yeah, they are, definitely. They suck on the, fat teeth of the American, political science, and ideologies basically trickle down to them by all kinds of powers that be primarily from American financial sector. But truth is, they are that stupid. They don't understand it. They don't understand that cars are made out of the metals. They don't understand that you need metals for aerospace industry. And so now that we have 50% of this industry is dead in the water, in Europe expect more of it, including, of course, the end of this metal production, iron and steel production too, which is already affected dramatically by these energy prices. So, but hey, they are. They live in the gated community, so they expect anything from them. So, and this is what Europe got, and you know what? And I already stated, Europeans voted for that. I'm sorry, guys. And what can I say? So, this is the main message for me for today. I hope so that the only thing which I want to say, and I don't know if she's still alive, I understand that Elizabeth II passing, and we expect that she will pass. Don't be too cynical about it. Of course, Windsor family is extremely rich. It commands a lot of wealth and everything. But please, let's not trivialize this, because in many respects, Elizabeth II is, I hope so, she's still alive while I speak about it. She was at least some kind of the symbol, avatar of the, at least some kind of class. You can say that she was a classy woman in many respects. We might not agree, and absolutely normal with the, policies of House of Windsor, let alone with the UK, and now, headed by this bimbo, which wants to actually cancel royalty altogether. But there was something very important about House of Windsor, and of course, the longevity of Elizabeth II. So, you know what, just don't say nasty things about. Let the lady rest in peace if she dies soon, and then we can talk about it. But it's certainly a sad occasion for British people, and what can I say? Let's not get too cynical about it. But of course, we know everything is collapsing in the West as I speak to you now, and this is just yet another indication of this, that the passing of the era, if you wish, of the times when the combined West looked very attractive and commanded respect and interest of many people in the world. Today, it does not. So this is what I wanted to tell you today, and as usual, those people who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, and those people who can afford, please support me on the Patreon. That allows me to produce these videos and communicate with you on pretty much important issues, surrounding us in these very interesting times. So that will be my talk for you today, guys, and have the nice rest of the week, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.